nonprofit dedicated to embedding future literacy in education worldwide. World Futures Day is a partnership with the Millennium Project. Right now, we are all part of a 24-hour global conversation about our futures, creating a space where all generations, especially young voices, can share their visions, concerns, and action driven projects towards a better tomorrow. Let's make this conversation count. You can find facilitator bios on the event page. Facilitators, take it away.
Thank you very much, Rania. I'm gonna start by sharing our screen, and then Claire can start by
Okay.
introducing herself.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session, Unteaching the Future, Making Space for Entrepreneurial Thinking in Education. And we're going to be your facilitator for the next 45 minutes. So, I'm Claire from Etiquette, Higher Education Enabler. I'm 19 years old and I'm based in Indonesia. And we have
Hi, everyone. My name is Sofia. I'm 19 years old. I'm from TEP. We'll explain those projects later. I think for the presentation, it's important that I mention that I'm currently studying my professional career on entrepreneurship and innovation management. So this is a really nice space because I can talk a little bit about my passion. So, Claire, you can go
okay.
on.
Before we start, I would like to give you a rundown for today's session, for our session specifically. We're going to have a little bit of an icebreaker, so we don't feel so tense, you know. And of course, after the icebreaker, we're going to have a presentation about our projects in our countries in Colombia and in Indonesia. And because we're also looking forward from the audience to also contribute to our projects as well. And after that, we're going to have a little bit of a podcast in a radio. So we want you as the audience to sit back and relax. If you feel like you resonate with our answers, you can also feel free to join our discussion as well. So, and to end the session, we're going to have another icebreaker or a Mentimeter. Then, if we have a little spare of time, then we can have a little bit of a Q&A session. All right, so our first Mentimeter question for our session for today is, which belief do you think education reinforced the most? A, being right matters more than being curious. B, success means moving up or moving away. C, mistakes should be avoided. And D, following the rules is safer than experimenting. Okay, we're going to wait for the answers, but for me personally, I think I would say honestly all of them are quite reinforced in our education system in Indonesia, but I think for me personally, mistakes should be avoided. How about you, Sophia?
Well, for me, I would also say that all of them are really important, but I'd say that success means moving up, moving away, the one that no one is voting for.
Yeah.
I would vote for that one. That's a topic we'll talk about in a little bit.
Mhm.
Well, because I think uh, if we don't have like a mindset of success, like it's really hard to move on. Um, let's see, we have
We need
many
we're
people
waiting
are
for
here.
more answers here. Come on. We need more. Okay, I see it. The A has more answers. Being right matters more than being curious. Yep, I think that also kind of it
Well,
it kind of makes
also with this icebreaker, you'll have an idea of what we will talk about during the session.
Mhm.
As Claire mentioned before, we really want to hear you. We don't want this space to be just us
Mhm.
talking. So yeah, that's why we also want to make it interactive. All right. So we got that being right matters more than being curious. Okay, that
Okay.
one wins definitely.
Let's head to the next question. All right. What actions are schools taking or failing to take when teaching entrepreneurship? All right, let's wait for the answers.
It would be nice if you can write the where are you from,
Where
like your
you're from?
country in your answer, so we can know like what is happening and where in the world. And also for this part of the icebreaker, we're gonna have a voting just to know who do we agree with, like who we relate with. So we're gonna wait for some answers and then we're gonna start our voting.
Oh.
As you have to write here, we're gonna wait a little bit more.
We're going to wait. Okay, we see 6 responses. Okay, this is exciting. I want to see what we have. Oh God.
Okay.
Why there's a all right. Teaching financial and social ethical responsibility and accountability from Scott, based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Oh, there is a little mistake there. Malaysia. Okay, that's another
Okay,
place.
so here,
Okay.
here, here we're talking about finances. I think that's very
Mhm.
important.
Yep, yep,
I'm
yep.
gonna talk
That
a little
is
bit
true.
about that
Very true.
later.
Mhm.
That's really nice.
Let's see another one. No entrepreneurship subject at school. Where is this based at? Is it in
Mhm.
Indonesia?
Which country?
Asia, America? I
Or
want to know.
continent, yeah.
I
For
think.
example, here in Colombia, like
Mm,
at school, there's like this law that every school has to teach entrepreneurship. However, it's like only theory. There's nothing practical at all.
mm,
Let's see what else. If the person who wrote this answer could tell us where are you from, maybe in the chat, it
mhm.
would be nice.
I'm from
Okay, from
Spain.
Spain.
I think they are failing to teach about taxes. Oh my God, that is a problem. I find it to be a problem as well, especially for us from the young generations, we still do not understand how to do taxes.
Yeah, I don't understand how to do that.
That is a problem here. We need to really fix that. Okay,
Yeah.
I think wait, limited exposure to real entrepreneurs. From London. Okay.
Well,
Yep, it
that's
is
really
true.
important because I would say the main learnings come from experience. So if you teach students theory but don't make them go into the real world and meet real entrepreneurs, maybe it's like also a limited learning. Yeah, that's a nice answer. In London.
How about
Great.
the other two? How about the other two? We haven't heard from the other
Oh,
two.
let's wait for a moment, and if not, we can
We
just
can
go
do the
on
voting.
and start the voting. Yeah. Or also, if you want to give your opinion, like in the chat box of the call,
Okay.
the meeting, it will also be nice, Claire, if you could check that as I'm presenting. I don't know if I
It's
can see
all
the chat.
right. So from what I've seen so far, it's more theory and then practical. And if the practical is involved, it's usually the same thing.
Mm,
Propaganda. Okay.
okay. Yeah, it's like everything, it's really theoretical. It also
I
happens here in
genuinely
Colombia.
hate that. I genuinely hate that. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time we're like sometimes everything gets into your right ear and pops up in your left ear. You don't really know anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just come out from school and know nothing again. To
Mm-hmm.
bridge the gap between theory and reality, schools must shift from teaching business to facilitating ventures, and this requires replacing lecturers with venture labs where students build. So from Somalia, I think
Wow.
that's a really great answer as well. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really nice that you also give like a solution. It's really
Yep,
nice
yep.
because we're not only facing the problem, but we also
Yeah.
want to solve the problem. So it's really nice. Oh wait, we have more answers. Maybe one
Maybe
class,
one.
one and done, no follow-up. They can match students with actual internships, but they don't, only in college. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. What if like they don't go to college? What if they don't have the money to go to college? Oh my God, that would be
Yeah,
so
if
sad.
there's
That
people who doesn't have access to quality education, for example.
that could be a problem. And even in
Yeah.
universities, they don't do a great job. Oh my God,
That's true.
that
Well, for
tells
example,
you.
for me, as my career is focused on that, of course, they're doing a great job. I love my university. However, the other careers actually don't have much of like learnings about entrepreneurship and everything. Okay, I think we can go on with the
Okay,
with the voting. Let's
let's
see.
vote. Let's vote. All right.
Well, but I think we can all kind of agree. Like all those opinions are like really important. Wait, I don't know, like if this tells me when the voting is done. I don't know. When do I click finish voting?
All right.
Well, I'll just wait like a moment and then I'll click the.
One person voted.
Ah, okay, three people. Okay, got it, got it. Let's see. Let's wait. Let's say until 5 at least.
Let's see, 5 to 6. Come on. Let's do this. Let's
Yeah,
do this.
we have 14 people here
Yeah, we have
in
14
the meeting.
people. We
It would
really
be
need
really
to.
nice if we have more responses. We want
Yeah.
to know
We
what you
want
think.
everyone to be involved.
Okay. Should we finish the voting now or do we wait? Well,
Okay.
I think we can go on, like to start now into the topic itself. Okay.
All right.
All
The
right.
most popular one is teaching financial and social ethical responsibility and accountability. I love
Okay,
that. We'll
great.
actually put that in mind. We'll put that in mind. Maybe we can actually put that in our projects as well.
Yeah. All right.
We can reinforce our
Well,
project from there. Okay.
mm-hmm.
All
Okay,
right.
so that was our icebreaker. Give me a moment, I'll present again here the slides.
Mhm.
All right, so now that we have broken the ice a little bit, we're gonna, well, that was like with some questions. We're going to start presenting our project itself, which are Educate and TEP, I mean, TP. It's difficult because my project it's pronounced differently in English and in Spanish, but whatever. So these are some examples of real action that it's been taking in different parts of the world, like here in Colombia, Claire is based in Indonesia. However, we're tackling the same problem, and now that you're gonna hear projects, well, at least for me, I'd say that the projects are very similar. So I'm gonna pass it on to Claire.
All right. Thank you so much, Sophia, for that introduction. As you all know, I'm Claire from Etiquette, Higher Education Enabler. So let's start. So basically, it all started with a national problem where in Indonesia, the number of NEET, not in education, employment, or training, is increasing. And it almost reached 9 to 10 million in Indonesia. And the number can either increase or decrease. But this number is still there. And that can be a huge problem that I truly want to find a solution for. And it's impossible for us to solve all on my own, but we want to start all where I am right now, which is in Jakarta, Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, and Bekasi. Next next slide, please. And at first, what I expected was, they always lack ideas, skills, or resources. But, sometimes I also found out that these young people have the fear to try. And, these young people also have to wait for permissions, especially from the adults. And they always want to avoid mistakes, like we just discussed in the Mentimeter. So basically, what we're trying to do is that we're building a future makers youth innovating tomorrow's world. It is a 2-day program for youth 15 to 25 years old, focusing on futures literacy, collaboration, real world projects, and entrepreneurship skills and mindset. Next slide, please. And the majority of the entrepreneurial programs in Indonesia is that they always teach about business tools, teach about how to pitch in front of an investor or VC, learning about you know business model canvas and design thinking and etc. But what we're doing, what we're trying to add a value added, or what we're trying to do differently is that we want to put more emphasis on futures literacy, where we want to explore the future or current scenarios through trends, signals, emerging shifts, and also futures literacy. And then we want to teach students to identify these new problems and opportunities, then pitch their ideas with their own teams. And they can build small ventures based on those observations and ideas, and they can actually create a prototype and test in short intensive workshops. Next slide, please. And what this could change is that the number of entrepreneurs and startups can increase in Indonesia, where fewer young people feeling stuck after school, and then more young people creating and not just waiting. So basically, the number of NEET youth not in education, employment, or training can decrease, and also Indonesia showing up, being acknowledged globally and not just catching up. And even a 1% shift means thousands of lives moving forward. Next slide, please. And what this made me realize is that the problem isn't that young people lack entrepreneurial thinking. It's that they've been trained not to use it. And I believe, from this program, we can build learners to builders and students who only wait to initiate. And I also really believe that we can plant a seed and instill to these young people that they can start before they're ready. Now on to you, Sophia.
Sofía, no te escuchamos.
You're still muted. You're still muted.
Sorry. Okay, so I was saying that I really love that our Claire's project because it's really similar to mine actually, and I really like it because we can like work together. So now I'm gonna present a TEP. I'm gonna refer to it as TEP as it is like that in Spanish, the Elevator Project. This is a project I'm developing right now, actually with my entrepreneurship teacher from my school. If you are into entrepreneurship, you might know this framework, which is the Golden Cynic, which I really love because it encourages focusing on the purpose rather than the products or the services of the businesses. So that's how I'm going to explain TAP to you. I'm going to start with our purpose, with our cause, our belief, which is the very reason why we created TAP. Then I'm going to talk about our path to make that purpose come true. And finally, our service. So our purpose, our why, it's because we believe that the ability to create value, basically to be an entrepreneur, doesn't depend on age, but on the opportunity and environment of the person who wants to create value. And today, the school system, the education system, like the traditional, is not designed to transform young people's ideas into real impact. But we believe that they have the ability to do it. So what has to change for them to make this come true? So our path is that we are developing a progressive route to accompany those students, especially from 4th grade until they graduate from school, to go from ideation to real validation in the real market, making real impact. And this teaching entrepreneurial thinking, financial criteria that we were talking about on the icebreaker. And of course, I think this is really important, like going from the theory to the practical execution within the school environment. And all of this through active methodologies, which schools love nowadays, such as flipped classroom, where there's not a teacher teaching the students, but the students teaching the students themselves, and even the teacher. And the double diamond method, which is like our main methodology that we're using right now. Now our service itself, well, we're just starting with TEB. We started last year, so we haven't implemented this actually, but we're on the validation stage. If anyone wants to give me a school to validate, it would be great. But basically, we want to implement TEB camps, which are training processes to apply in schools where students can develop and validate real projects, similar to what Claire is doing with Educate, while they strengthen soft, strategic, and financial skills, which are also really important because enterprises nowadays are looking for that. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are on the validation stage. However, this is our projection, which I really love. If you want to come in and participate in this, it would be lovely. We are planning on doing an entrepreneurship summit for kids and youth. I really love that idea. Just imagine a huge event where kids and youth can go present their projects, have a Shark Tank, have investors who want to say, I want to give venture capital for this project of a kid of 12 years old. So I don't know, I love it. We also want to have an informative and interactive web page for learning, and of course, personalized consultations for young entrepreneurs. Okay, so with these are our projects, just some examples of real action taken. However, now we want to hear you. We want to have an open conversation. Please feel free to join our conversation. You can raise your hand, open your mic. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for this. We have some questions prepared, but we also want to make it like go with the flow, you know? You can participate whenever you want. So
All right.
I'll pass it on to Claire again.
Thank you so much, Sophia, for that amazing presentation. Honestly, I'm also looking forward to collaborate, Indonesia x Colombia, well, because honestly, I think there are many possibilities there, Honestly, yeah, we're going to head to the podcast in a radio session.
Wait, Lourdes has her hand
Oh yeah,
raised.
I just realized. All right.
Just the comment that I put in the chat, like I
Oh
love
yeah.
entrepreneurship, but I hope you sprinkle some futures literacy now that you know about it. So how do you
Yeah.
plan? How do you plan to include futures literacy in entrepreneurship learning?
Well, I can start. I think that's really important because startups and businesses in general are going to have an impact in the future. So I think it's really important that at the time that students are learning how to create value, create their businesses, their startups, they also they are also conscious that they are going to have an impact in the future, and also to tell them like you're being agents of the future. You're going to have to learn how to, with like through your business or your startup, how are you going to be able to like create that sustainable future.
Okay. I think that's an amazing, idea that she can actually put in her project as well. All right. So I think we can get straight into the podcast itself. First of all, I just wanted to say is that I feel like what we just shared, especially from our presentation, comes from a very different context, yet somehow the tension feels very similar. So I'm actually very curious. In your experience, Sophia, when did you first realize that the education system wasn't really designed for experimentation or trying things out? Uh, because from my experience, I think I realized it pretty early, like in school. It always felt like there was only one right answer, right? Even when you had a different idea, when you're always wanted to feel curious, the environment never really makes you feel that way. It wasn't really encouraged, especially from the teachers as well. It was more like just follow the format, just follow what I told you, and don't even try doing other things as well, whether it's anything entrepreneurial. And I think over time that trains you to stop exploring and you start optimizing for being correct and not being curious. So, is it similar in Colombia or does it show up differently there?
Well, I'd say it's the same thing, but like in my experience, I realized that the education system wasn't really designed for trying things out when I got into university. Like when I was at school, I didn't realize it because like the education system just flows and you go with it. So you don't really, well, I at least I didn't realize that until I started university and my career like showed me that, well, it's actually important to try things out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things. I think sometimes the majority of us not wanting to do anything outside of that would always feel have they have a fear of failure. So like do you feel like students in your country are actually afraid of being wrong? And where do you think that fear comes from?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I think that they're really afraid of being wrong. And I think I don't want to hate the education system, but I think it comes, that fear comes from the education system a little bit, because there are a lot of exams, grading, and that gives to the student like a mindset that if you fail, you're gonna be on a lower level, and if you win, you're gonna be on a higher level. So of course, students are gonna be afraid of failing because they're gonna feel like they're like on the lower level, which is not really nice. And how about you? How about you, Claire?
Yeah, I kind of relate that to that a lot in Indonesia. Especially, I came from a very Chinese Indonesian family. We're a very Asian family. We have an Asian household. Sometimes it's not only me, but I actually hear from other of my from my friends as well, where failure to them isn't just only personal, but it feels social. Like you you don't want to disappoint your family and your environment, especially your teachers, your principals, people, all your friends would always expect so much from you to not fail. You have to get a good grade, especially, from your elderlies as well. They will always tell you you need to get a good grade. You need to do well in school. Never think too much about other things except schools. You need to like do well academically. Well, once you do well in academically, you'll actually get a good degree. Then once you get a good degree, you would get a good job. And once you get a good job, from there, once you hit 60, you'll retire. But we'll never know how many like much possibilities you will succeed going through that path. And and that's why, sadly, students, don't avoid failure because they're weak, but they avoid it because the cost feels too high, right?
Yeah.
Um, and which is interesting because entrepreneurship literally requires the opposite. But I'm very grateful that my mom, since I was a kid, my mom would always instill me to tell and always tell me that, Claire, it's fine to fail because when you fail, that is like a stepping stone to reach your goals. And I will always put that in mind a lot, that she never you know have the same expectation as other parents do, especially when you're coming from a Chinese Indonesian family. So yeah.
Well, that's really nice actually that you have that opportunity to have a mom that actually supports
Yeah.
you that way. Also, again, if you want to, like for the audience, if you want to participate, you could also tell us, do you feel like in your country, maybe there was someone from Spain, Somalia? It would be nice to know if the situation is the same, if students look afraid of being wrong, if do you think the education system has anything to do with it, if you want to participate Remember, you can just open your mic if you want or raise your hand.
Yep.
I was in a session before, and a young person said that knowing that the future is open gave him more like ease. He was like, he didn't know what to do when he grew up, no? Like what success looked like, as you said, Claire. And
Yep.
he said, now that I know that the future is open, maybe I decide my career path, I decide what to study, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to know now what I'm going to be working 10 years from now. So you can have like an idea, a vision, a dream, but you can also figure it out along the way. And I think it's a mix of having like a vision and some kind of idea of what you like, what you would like success look like for you, but also being open to what happened along the way.
That
Thank
is very strong.
you.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny that it actually relates to the next question that we had planned.
Yeah.
Which is, what does success usually look like where you're from, be it like being it Indonesia or Spain? And if do you think that definition of success limits young people on taking action and everything? Well, for me, I'd say that as I mentioned before, I'd say success here in Colombia is seen as being on the higher level. However, I want to say something else that it's really sad, actually, and it's that in zones where there are social and economic gaps, like it's seen that success is not possible, and that's really sad because, of course, that's not true. Like maybe there are some people that don't have access to quality education or can't pay for quality education. However, that doesn't mean they cannot be successful. And I think entrepreneurship, it's really important here because it's a great opportunity for them to go on and be successful, even if they don't have like the the possibility to access quality education. And how is it for you, Claire?
All right. If I'm being honest with you, I think from my country as well, like success where I'm from, is still very linear. Like I mentioned, in my previous answers, good grades, good universities, a stable job. Um, but the world is developing rapidly. Okay, I think we all know that. Getting a stable job is not that easy right now, right? And people always perceive success as like when you're a billionaire or a millionaire, or at least you have, you can actually provide for your family. That is success for them. But I also want to make it as small as possible. Success to me, I want it to be when I actually managed to um take a risk, not following what people do, but trying to find another path where if my friends are all taking universities, you know what? I'm gonna take a gap year and see where I'm going from there. Um, to be honest, people would think that that's not a success because success story, people would think that, oh my gosh, Claire, you sound like you're going to fail because like you're not even in university right now. I feel like you're not going to do anything at this point. You're not even working, you're not doing this and that. But to me, I feel like, success can mean a lot of things. It can be a bunch of things. And to me, um, even starting etiquette is already a success for me. Because, like, come on. Like, starting an entrepreneurial journey at a young age is never that easy because, like, people would always tell you, like, you're gonna fail, you're not gonna do well. Just stop doing that. Just do whatever you do academically, great. And I think maybe from there you'll get somewhere, and I think that's not it. So that's why um I think the problem is that young people, especially for my generation right now, they always feel like anything outside of that feels very risky. even if it's very meaningful, it might be meaningful.
Yeah. Before we continue, there's Camila left a comment on the chat box saying, hi, I love the project. I also feel it's important to implement methodologies to develop critical thinking in young people because with AI and such a limited system, I think that's being lost. And I think that's really connected with what you mentioned about the
Exactly.
world developing rapidly, because we also have to take into account that with the new technologies, with AI, and everything, we also have to teach students, and I include myself, I'm still a student, um to develop that critical thinking, and also like to being conscious on how to use these technologies and everything. I
And
like that.
maybe
Thank
you can
you.
use, oh yeah, and of course, you can use futures literacy where we don't even learn futures literacy at all in schools. And not to mention, I think futures literacy can help us, especially in a long term and not just short term, right? I believe like you also agree with that, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I think we talked a lot about young people, and like I just want to talk about this one thing. This thing has always been in my mind about NEET youth, not in education, employment, or training. When we talk about these people, what do people not understand about them in your country? Because what's interesting is when we talk about these youth, NEET youth, people often assume they're not trying, but from what I've seen so far, it's not really that simple. Sometimes it's not that they failed the system, but the system itself just didn't have the space and the opportunity for how they learn and what they want to do. And that's where I think entrepreneurship in education becomes really important and crucial, not as a business, but as an alternative way of thinking. What do you think?
Well, I actually think the same thing. I'm not gonna be talking a lot on this, a lot about this, because I think kind of the same thing. And it's that entrepreneurship, it's not seen as a business. I mean, it's seen just as a business, but not as something that actually brings real impact in the world, and that's really important. And I think anyone, like, it doesn't matter your social or like how what like the social or economic gap, you can actually start a business, and not only to get money but to make an impact in the world, and that's really lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Honestly, yeah. How is there any comments? Wait. Okay, there were no comments. All right. Yeah, I think that is a way for us to really discuss NEET, right?
mhm.
And so I think we just talked about entrepreneurship, right? We were talking about entrepreneurship, but um there's this misunderstanding by a lot of people. When people hear about entrepreneurship, what do they usually get wrong?
Mm. Well, for that question, I actually have like a lot of answers, because I think there's like a really huge misunderstanding about like the concept of entrepreneurship. So first of all, I'd say that what we mentioned, that a lot of people think it's only to like create a business, but it's actually to create value for the world. Also, there's people who think that only rich people can create a business. However, this is not true. Someone who doesn't have the money to invest in their business can actually have a business. They can. There are a lot of opportunities in the market to access to venture capital for them to start a business. So I think that like that mindset has to change a little bit. And the third thing I think is that a lot of people think that creating value, it's creating something new, and that's not true. Like you can just do something that already exists but make it better. Or I don't know, if in Indonesia there's a project that works there, I can implement it here, and that's also creating value because it's something that here in Colombia doesn't exist. So I think that's really nice. And what do you think, Claire, that is like a misunderstanding about entrepreneurship?
I truly resonate with what you just mentioned, and everything you just mentioned is what I actually felt. And also I just wanted to add things is that what we're I think people also believe that entrepreneurship is just about like, being an entrepreneur is just being a businessman, but it's really far from that, right? And so I always see it as a mindset as well. It's a mindset that not all people have, but needs to be trained at such a young age and needs to be instilled. Like I think I talked about it when, back when I was a kid, my mom would always tell me to really be open for failure and, never be hard on yourself. Just because you fail doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. And also, being able to deal with uncertainty, because by the end of the day, being an entrepreneur, you will never see positivity. You're always never going to see open doors. People will always shut the doors at you, and you'll always see many things that doesn't go your way. But you always need to know that that's how an entrepreneur needs to grow. Um, it takes years, and it's never that, an entrepreneur would never just succeed within 1 month. I'm going to be rich just like Jeff Bezos or, Mark Zuckerberg within a month. They take years to be a billionaire. But that's the thing. You need to be so open for uncertainty. You need to create something, not just wait for someone to create it for you. Even when AI exists, you can still ask anything from AI, but you don't need to rely too much on AI, but still use AI as your guidance, as a helping hand,
Yeah.
and also take initiatives. That's one thing I really found very crucial as an entrepreneur, is to take initiative, right? And honestly, those are things that schools don't really train us for, right?
Mhm.
Like, what do you think?
No, I think the same thing. And actually, like talking about schools, I think we can move on to the last questions we had for this conversation. It would be really lovely if you could give your opinion, because, well, maybe it would be really valuable. So,
Okay.
um, for this question we have, if students had to unlearn one thing from school to become more entrepreneurial, what would it be? Well, for me, I have it like really clear, and I think that students have to unlearn that failing is bad, because failing, it's actually the best way to learn and to become better in what you do, like, if you're scared of failing, you're not gonna be able to try new things or to be successful. You need to fail in order to be successful. So I think students have to unlearn that mindset, and schools should teach that we have to fail in order to be successful. And what about you, Claire?
I love that answer so much. Honestly, that I also resonate with that a lot. But I also, if I had to pick one thing to unlearn, it's probably the idea. Okay, the idea that there's always a right answer. Because once you let go of that mindset, that thought of like, honestly, there's always one right answer. You start thinking differently. You become more open to uncertainty. You become more experimental. And one last thing, resilience. Resilience is one of the things I find the most crucial thing for an entrepreneur. You know, from my experience, if I was never resilient, I think I would have gave up on etiquette. I would have gave up on doing this project, because I will always think, because people always like give me negativity and will always tell me that I'll fail. But I always truly believe that if I really put my dedication and resilience to this project, no matter what, you can do whatever you do, it'll succeed somehow if you put an effort into it. And I
Mhm.
think, you know, I just don't want people to be so fixated in schools, to be always getting a straight A. I want people to unlearn the unlearn how'd you call it, to get like an, you know, a high degree in schools or universities. I want them to really explore more outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things I find very crucial. I know this is honestly, I'm adding things to my answers, but like I think that kind of
Right.
like, popped up in my head when you're talking about your answers. So I hope that that actually like, I hope that a lot of people also resonate with my answers and your answers as well. But I'm curious, is that something others here feel as well, or do you have any other opinions
Well, we actually have some
based
comments
on that?
here. So Lourdes was talking about social businesses. She said, "I like this approach to entrepreneurship. Doesn't need to be a business at the beginning. It starts with an idea, project, research, conversations. Yeah, it's like about taking the risk, I'd say." And also here, an entrepreneur, it's the person who always takes risks. So a student in school is an entrepreneur, exactly. However, we need schools to teach the students to take that risk too.
I love that answers. Oh
Yeah,
my
thank you.
God.
Thank you for
Okay.
participating.
Honestly, we need to put that in the note. We
Mm-hmm.
need to like copy and paste and put it in a note so we will never forget on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, so I think we're kind of running out of time now. We have
We have a Mentimeter.
Yeah, we have something to close the session. Let's see if we have the time to do it. We're just gonna start it and see if we are gonna make it on time. It's another Mentimeter, so please
Get
have
ready.
your phones ready. Mm-hmm.
Oh, but there's someone mentioning something. A lot work in educational futures are looking at the possibilities of schools not existing in 10 years. Based on some of the flaws pointed out, this might be the best thing for entrepreneurial education. Oh, it's a question. It's a question. Um, I think it is the best. Honestly, I think there are many possibilities we could actually find more solutions on that. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
we will actually put that in mind. How do I
Yeah,
advocate for more entrepreneurial opportunities? Do you have any answer to that,
wait,
Sophia?
I lost the chat here. How do I advocate for more entrepreneurial opportunities? Well, there are a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, but like we sometimes don't see it. I have access to them because of my career, but basically there are like a lot of networking. It's really important for that. Like you have to be really connected with the world and you need to search for those opportunities sometimes. Like opportunities don't always get to you, uh but it like I think there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of students or people who want to create value but don't know how, so it's kind of difficult to get to them. However, networking, I'd say it's the way to connect, uh like that network. I said the same thing, but yeah, I think that's like the most important thing, networking.
I love that. And there is another one. I come from an education system that emphasized having everything figured out from a young age and didn't view failure as an opportunity for learning.
Mhm.
If I had to have been told that from the beginning, I think my perspective would have changed more. I'm so glad you guys have that vision.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so much,
you.
Camilla.
That's lovely.
That caution, and there's another one from Scott. The caution is that a lot of tech entrepreneurs also dropped out of college and now are on the verge of destroying the world. So maybe we need something between no schools and the schools we presently have. Yep,
Yeah, I'd say we have to keep teaching. Like, there has to be education, but I think re-education, I mean, I think education has to change. Like, it cannot stay the
exactly.
same way as it is today. The traditional system, like, isn't that good like nowadays. Yeah. Thank you, Scott, for your
Thank
opinion.
you so much,
I
Scott.
really love it. Okay, so with
I'm
that,
just giving a heads up, we have like less than 10 minutes left, so
Okay, let's just wrap this up with the Mentimeter. Let's go, and have your phones ready to participate.
gonna make it short. If you can be fast answering the questions, it would be nice. If not, then we could just maybe answer just one of them, just to wrap up a little bit. But I think it's really nice that we actually like heard opinions in the chat already.
Yeah.
So yeah, in one word, how would you define entrepreneurship? Okay, so we have play. It's really nice to see that network.
Oh, networking. Okay, I love that. Courage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, in one word, I would say, well, this is not one word, but I would say creating value. I really love
Okay.
to refer to it as creating value.
I would say resilience.
Yeah, I like it. We have agency, impact. I'm gonna,
Impact.
I love this. Care.
There.
Nice.
Okay. I
Okay,
guess
I
it
think
can be a
uh,
mindset as well. Wow. Hope.
hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. I think I'm gonna move on to the next one, considering
All
the
right.
time that we have left. But I mean, we already finished. We're like wrapping up. We want to finish the session hearing your opinion.
So
So,
go ahead.
what do you see that is a threat in your community regarding entrepreneurship in education? It's kind of similar to what we talked about before. You could just answer your country and a specific threat, like a word. It could also be like in one word.
3 more minutes, guys. Okay. Prematurely ending childhood and forcing everyone to make money until they die. Oh my God.
Whoa.
That is very sad. I
Yeah.
also think that in Asian countries like China as well, we have that pressure at such a young age can be very frustrating as well. And oh my God, even in Indonesia as well. Teacher is not ready to see entrepreneurship at school. I guess
Yeah,
that's what we're trying
teachers
to
have to
really,
change the mindset too. Would
really
teachers
change.
have to be taught to
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure.
Infrastructure, Caribbean islands, and Cuba. Oh wow. It
It's
is.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, go on.
I think it makes sense though. Infrastructures, and as in like the education system. Is it, or is it like, I'm still trying to understand from that answer. Spain. Entrepreneurship being equal to TikTok influencing.
Wow.
I
I
think
really
so.
love to hear the different opinions. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have some things in mind actually, and
I
they're
never
really
thought of
nice.
that.
Hmm. Okay. So now that I'm gonna stop sharing, I mean
All
not stop
right.
sharing, I stopped sharing. I shouldn't have stopped sharing. I'm gonna share
Okay.
the last thing just to finish and give you all our thank yous. We are really glad that you were able to be here participating in the session. We loved all your participation and thank you very much for being here.
Feel free to scan to connect with us through LinkedIn. And also, if you have any questions or if you ever wanted to contribute to our projects, feel free to email us or maybe like contact us in our LinkedIn. And honestly, we're looking forward to a discussion in the future.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you, Sofia. Thank you, Claire. Rania.
okay, so is everyone ready for a screenshot? Everyone please turn their cameras on?
Yeah, wait. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, Scott, I see you. Camila, put your camera.
Hi.
We're going to take a picture
My camera, okay.
Okay.
if you want.
3, 2, 1.
Hey.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so
now
much,
I'll just do the
everyone.
closing remarks.
Yes, Rania, please.
Okay. As we wrap up this inspiring session, thank you all for being part of World Future Day Young Voices. Your perspectives and participation have made this conversation truly meaningful. The journey doesn't end here. New facilitators and fresh conversations begin at the top of each hour. You are welcome to stay and continue exploring future possibilities with us. Here are some quick announcements. If you enjoyed today, this kind of learning doesn't stop here. It continues through Teach the Future's global online youth futures